The housekeeper's daughter, Emma Johnson, has a dramatic personality disorder. She thinks she's the resilient, kind-hearted female lead in some romance novel. The moment the butler brought her into our golden mansion, she suddenly burst into tears. My second brother was startled and asked, "What's wrong?" Emma bit her lip hard and said, "Nothing. I just saw how extravagant you all are. And it reminded me of people who can't even afford food. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't waste so much money decorating a house." When my older brother stood up, she backed away like a frightened rabbit, looking at him warily and shouting, "Don't come near me. I will never fall for you spoiled rich boys. Even if you try to force me, I won't give in." I'd never seen my brothers look so confused. I was trying hard not to laugh. But then Emma turned on me. She looked at me with disdain and said, "I'm not here to compete with other girls. You better put away those dirty tricks of yours." Then she ordered the butler to take her to her room. I smiled sweetly and extended my hand, saying, "Since Miss Johnson is so noble and principled, you probably won't need the guest room we prepared, Butler Wilson. Please clean up the storage room and let Miss Johnson stay there." When Emma heard I wanted her to stay in the storage room, her eyes immediately turned red. She bit her lip and said with fake strength, "Miss Sarah, I know you're jealous of me, but my mom saved your aunt. This was promised to my mother. How can you go back on your word? Besides, I came here to study hard, not to steal your men." Then she looked at my brothers with teary eyes and continued, "It's not my fault that I'm beautiful. Miss Sarah, I don't have time to play mind games with you. If you don't want them to like me, you should study harder instead of doing things that make you look cheap, like targeting innocent me." After this speech, we were all speechless. My second brother couldn't hold back anymore. "When did we ever say we liked you? We don't even know you." Emma looked at him with disappointment and contempt. "Someone like you who won't admit their true feelings, I would never like you." Then she looked at my older brother with some expectation. My brother frowned and said, "Miss Johnson, please don't make things up. If my girlfriend heard this, it would be terrible." Emma's face froze, then she looked enlightened, glanced at me, and said emotionally, "Don't worry. She already heard and understands your intentions." Thank you on her behalf. What was she imagining now? Ignoring my brother's shocked and terrified expression, she walked upstairs like she owned the place. She ordered the servants to bring her luggage up, then pointed to my room, and said, "I like this one, butler, help me put my things in there." But after waiting a few seconds she realized the butler wasn't opening the door for her. She frowned, and turned around to find the servants had moved her luggage to the storage room. She immediately screamed and ran over. "What are you doing?" The butler smiled, and said, "Miss Johnson, you went to the wrong room earlier. That's our young lady's room. Didn't you want to stay in the storage room? We've already cleaned it up for you." Looking at the dusty storage room, Emma could barely keep her composure and shouted, "When did I ever say I wanted to stay in the storage room?" The butler kept smiling. "Our young lady analyzed your words and came to that conclusion. We all thought it made perfect sense." Emma gritted her teeth angrily, then looked at me with red eyes. "Why are you targeting me everywhere? Are you so jealous of girls who are prettier and better than you?" Her words made me laugh. "Didn't you say you felt bad about living in a nice room? I was worried you'd feel guilty, so I thought the storage room would be perfect for you. What's wrong? Aren't you happy?" Emma's eyes immediately filled with tears as she looked at me with humiliation. "My mom sent me here to study. Why do you keep humiliating me over and over?" While saying this, she looked pitifully at my older brother. But he was frantically texting his girlfriend, asking if she'd heard any crazy talk. He had no time for Emma. In the end, she didn't stay in the storage room. My brother intervened. After all, she was the daughter of someone who saved a life. How could we really make her stay in the storage room? That night, my brothers and I were frantically complaining about Emma in our family group chat. Our parents were surprised. "Really? Mrs. Johnson is so honest and kind. Thanks to her, your mother wasn't hit by that car. Her daughter should have a good personality too, right?" My older brother just sent a crying pig emoji. Everything was clear without words. The next morning, I went to school first, and my classmates gathered around me for gossip. After all, nothing stays secret in our circle. Just then, a scream broke the silence. Emma was sitting on the ground, and standing in front of her was Jake, covered in spilled milk. Jake was our school's heartthrob and the tough guy. He was in a good mood today, and wasn't planning to make a big deal about Emma randomly spilling milk all over him. But just as he was about to leave, Emma grabbed his hand and looked at him stubbornly. You bumped into someone. Apologize to me. Jake laughed coldly. You rushed in here, bumped into me, spilled milk all over me, and you're asking me to apologize? Emma inexplicably blushed shyly, pouted, and shouted with her hands on her hips. You think you're so great because you have power and money? I will never bow down to your tyranny. I don't care how you bullied others before. But now that I'm here, you're not allowed to bully anyone anymore. Everyone was stunned by her words, and I covered my eyes in embarrassment. Jake was amused, but Emma didn't sense the danger approaching. She thought Jake was charmed by her cuteness. So she continued. Your grades must be terrible, right? From now on I'll supervise you. Before she could finish, Jake clenched his fist and swung it hard at her. Just then I quickly shouted stop. Jake immediately stopped, and gave me an obedient smile. Hey Sarah, what's up? I walked over and pulled Emma behind me. Why are you being so rough? Go change your clothes. Jake looked coldly at Emma, then smiled at me. Okay, no problem. Then he turned and walked away. Don't let Jake's obedient behavior fool you. He actually wanted to have me beaten up at first. But if you ask how I finally tamed him, let's just say it was through wisdom and strength. Only then did Emma come to her senses, feeling scared and confused. Then she looked at me with venomous jealousy. She pushed me hard and cried. Sarah Wilson, why did you force him to hurt me? He likes me so much. Do you know how cruel this is for him? My deskmate protected me and shouted, Sarah, who is she? Is she crazy? I took 2 deep breaths, resisting the urge to hit Emma, and replied, yeah, she's Mrs. Johnson's daughter. Mrs. Johnson saved my mom. So my parents told her to name any condition. She just asked if Emma could attend school here because of the good resources. She hoped Emma would have a good future. So today was Emma's first day. But when Emma heard me say this, she cried sadly, Sarah Wilson, you deliberately revealed my identity to make everyone look down on me. You're making others bully me. Are you happy seeing me suffer? I helplessly shrugged. You're the one who bumped into someone and got their clothes dirty. They weren't even going to make a big deal about it. But you demanded an apology. How is this my fault? Didn't you bring this on yourself? But Emma clearly didn't believe me. He obviously likes me. He was smiling just now. You forced him to do this. We poor people have dignity too. Maybe in your rich kid's eyes I'm poor, but I will never give in. I will definitely change my destiny. She said all this with a red face, then looked expectantly at the other students. But they all looked at her with disgust. Are you crazy? School is for studying. You're the only one talking about being poor. Who said you were poor? The classroom erupted. Who said you were poor? Seriously, are you hearing things? A girl crossed her arms. You showed up in a luxury car this morning. The Wilson family pays your tuition. They pay for your uniform. They pay for your books. They even gave you a place to live. Another student couldn't help rolling his eyes. Nobody has said a single thing about you being poor. You're the only person obsessed with it. Emma's face stiffened. The expression she had carefully prepared shattered. She had expected sneers. She had expected discrimination. She had expected someone to mock her humble origins. Then she would bravely endure it all. The handsome school prince would defend her. Everyone would applaud her strength. But reality refused to cooperate. For the first time all day, Emma had no lines left in her script. The bell rang. Class began. Yet even while the teacher was lecturing, I could feel Emma's glare burning into the side of my face, as though I had personally ruined her tragic heroine storyline. At lunch, things somehow became worse. Much worse. The moment Emma entered the cafeteria, her eyes locked onto Jake, the school's undisputed king, captain of the basketball team, top 10 in the entire grade, feared by half the students, admired by the other half. In Emma's mind, apparently this made him the perfect male lead. She immediately picked up her tray and marched over. The entire cafeteria seemed to sense disaster approaching. Conversations quieted. People slowed their chewing. Several students discreetly took out their phones. Emma sat directly across from Jake. Jake looked up, then looked back down at his food. The dismissal was so complete it almost felt artistic. But Emma interpreted it differently. Of course she did. Why aren't you talking to me? Jake kept eating. You don't have to pretend. Still silence. I know you're interested in me. The cafeteria froze. Even the lunch lady stopped serving food. Jake slowly lowered his fork. He stared at her for several seconds, then pointed at himself. Me. Emma nodded confidently. You're trying to attract my attention by acting cold. The silence became painful. Then Jake's friend Mason exploded. A mouthful of orange juice shot out of his nose. The entire table collapsed into hysterics. Jake looked genuinely disturbed, like he had just witnessed a supernatural phenomenon. Finally, he stood up. Do you need medical assistance? The laughter became deafening. Emma's face turned bright red. You don't have to hide your feelings. Jake immediately picked up his tray. No. Then took 3 steps away. No. Then another 3. Absolutely not. The cafeteria erupted. Some students were literally pounding the tables. A few nearly fell out of their chairs laughing. Emma sat frozen. Humiliation washed across her face. But rather than questioning herself, she looked at me. Naturally. Her eyes filled with accusation. You told him to reject me. I nearly dropped my fork. What? You threatened him. This time even my friends stared at her. One girl asked carefully, Emma, have you considered therapy? Emma ignored her. She rose dramatically to her feet, tears trembling in her eyes. Sarah Wilson, I understand now. A bad feeling instantly settled in my stomach. Whenever Emma said she understood something, disaster followed. You're afraid. I sighed. Afraid of what? She pointed toward Jake. You're afraid he'll choose me. The cafeteria became so quiet you could hear a spoon hit the floor. Then, choose you for what? A female voice rang out. Everyone turned. A stunning girl stood near the entrance. Long dark hair. Athletic build. Confident smile. The moment Jake saw her, his expression changed entirely. His eyes softened. He immediately walked over and took her bag. Practice ran late. She nodded. Coach wouldn't let us leave. Jake naturally wrapped an arm around her waist. Then she casually kissed his cheek. The entire cafeteria watched. A couple. An extremely public couple. A couple that had been together for nearly 2 years. Everyone knew them. Everyone except Emma. Emma's face drained of color. The girl noticed her staring. Who's that? Jake glanced over. His expression was completely blank. No idea. The fatal blow landed. Direct hit. Critical damage. Students completely lost control. The laughter nearly lifted the roof off the cafeteria. Emma stood there trembling. Her face cycling through red, white and green. For a moment, I thought she might faint. Then she burst into tears and ran away. I thought that was the end. I should have known better. That evening, when I returned home, I immediately sensed trouble. The moment I entered the living room, I found Emma sitting dramatically on the sofa. Her eyes were swollen. A blanket was wrapped around her shoulders. She looked like the sole survivor of a shipwreck. My parents had just gotten home from work. The second she saw me, Emma pointed. There she is. I nearly turned around to check if someone else had entered behind me. My mother blinked. What happened? Emma instantly began sobbing. Sarah bullied me all day. My father frowned. How? Emma opened her mouth, then froze, because she suddenly realized there wasn't actually any bullying. Just witnesses. Lots and lots of witnesses. Before she could invent something, my second brother grinned. Oh, perfect timing. He pulled out a tablet. My older brother immediately understood. A terrifying smile appeared on his face. The two of them exchanged a glance. I knew that look. Someone was about to be destroyed. My second brother connected the tablet to the giant television. The screen lit up. Cafeteria camera 12. Emma's eyes widened. Oh no! The footage began. The entire family watched in silence as Emma confidently informed Jake that he was secretly in love with her. Then came the rejection. Then Jake's girlfriend. Then the famous no idea. The room became silent. Dead silent. My father slowly removed his glasses. My mother covered her face. A servant accidentally snorted. The second brother wasn't finished. Next video. Hallway footage. Classroom footage. Courtyard footage. One by one. Every dramatic speech. Every delusion. Every embarrassing moment. All displayed in glorious high definition. By the end, even I felt a little bad for her. Just a little. Emma sat frozen. Her soul seemed to have left her body. Finally, my father rubbed his temples. Call Mrs. Johnson. An hour later, Mrs. Johnson arrived. She looked worried. Until the video started. By the third recording, her face had turned white. By the fifth, she looked ready to disappear into the floor. By the seventh, tears filled her eyes. When the final video ended, silence filled the room. Then, slap. The sound echoed through the mansion. Emma stared at her mother in disbelief. Mrs. Johnson's hand trembled. For the first time, she looked furious. I worked my entire life so you could have opportunities. Another tear rolled down her cheek. The Wilson family helped us. They honored their promise. They treated you with kindness. Her voice broke. And this is how you repay them? Emma's lips trembled. But Mom, they... Enough. The single word silenced the room. Mrs. Johnson turned to my parents and bowed deeply. 90 degrees. A full apology. I'm sorry. My mother quickly tried to stop her. But Mrs. Johnson shook her head. No. Then she looked at Emma. For the first time, there was no indulgence in her eyes. Only disappointment. Pack your things. Emma froze. What? We're leaving. The color vanished from Emma's face. No. We're leaving. Mom. Now. Emma finally broke. Tears streamed down her face. She looked toward my brothers. Toward my parents. Toward me. As if hoping someone would save her. No one moved. Because everyone had already given her chance after chance. In the end, Mrs. Johnson dragged her upstairs. An hour later, they left. As the front door closed, the mansion became wonderfully quiet. My second brother immediately opened a bottle of champagne. My older brother called his girlfriend and announced, "The nightmare is over." The servants looked ready to celebrate a national holiday. And me? I collapsed onto the sofa. At long last. Peace. 6 months later, we heard rumors. Emma had transferred schools again. And again. Apparently every time she arrived somewhere new, she convinced herself she was the heroine of a romance novel. Every time, reality disagreed. As for our family, life returned to normal. My older brother married his girlfriend. My second brother stopped having daily headaches. My parents finally relaxed. And whenever someone mentioned Emma Johnson, we all shared the same expression. A mixture of horror and relief. Because some storms don't destroy houses. They simply walk in through the front door and call themselves the main character.